So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and grab ourselves a wonderful ACLite access point. So I just kicked mine out of my system just so I could go ahead and make this tutorial. So we're going to click on that. Here it is. In all its glory. We're going to go ahead and click Adopt. Now, it can take it several minutes to adopt depending upon where your controller is, if it's cloud-based or what have you. Usually I don't see them take more than maybe 3 minutes max. There is a phone app you can use. I haven't really used it. I'm one of those people, if it doesn't work through SSH or the console, then screw it. Let's go to the next device kind of thing. So this is all in real time. I'm not going to speed it up or anything. I want you to see what it truly takes in my circumstances. So right now the access point is currently emitting a white light. If you have the older style Unifi access points, they will be a white light, and then when you get them provisioned they turn green. With this particular model it'll turn blue once it's completely provisioned and happy. It may blink white during an upgrade or during its initial configuration. It may do the same thing with the blinking blue, I believe, or blinking green, based upon the model. As always, there are manuals if you really want to care what the blinking means, but the light will go solid by default unless you have the site set up not to. So here we are. Come on. It only checks every so often. So it's like, I don't know, every 15 or every 30 seconds or so. There it goes. So it just turned blue on my end. So any minute now we should see it come up on the controller. And I'm going to show you the settings I typically use. My settings are for either small businesses or home use. Larger spots you would be doing a different configuration, but this is what, for people that only have 1 or 2 access points, this is what I find to be best for them. So here we are. We're now in provisioning up here. And it's going to get ready to do its thing. I'm going to go in here and do a couple things to make my life easier. First thing, we're going to call this my Wi-Fi. This is at the house. It's just used by my TiVos, the wife, the kids, that kind of thing. So I'm going to do save on that. That just makes my friendly name over here change on the controller. It doesn't actually do anything else. However, radios. I want this on channel 6. I leave the 5G alone. I let it handle it itself on that, on band steering. I prefer 5G at home. If you're doing a business or something, you might want it balanced. But that follows your needs basically. And then I want airtime fairness turned on. So no one single device can basically eat up all the utilization. So we have these queued up. So we know we're changing band steering, airtime fairness. Radio's already on 6. We're going to hit apply. Now, right here it tells you they were applied successfully. Now, in a minute or so, if you're staring at your access point, you should see it kind of kick back and then kick back in. I noticed they just changed this recently to show the channels up here that it's on. It's kind of nice. I'm not sure when that changed, or maybe it's always been like that and I never saw it because I was in the all view. Yes, that's why. Very nice. I didn't even know that. So, obviously it didn't take my channel 6. I'm going to apply that by itself. Apply. There we go. And now we got the provisioning status on the left-hand side of the screen over here. So once that's successful, we should start seeing a couple clients on here. My wife's phone, my Nexus 5 will eventually reconnect. It takes its time. It gets a little pissy. Love my Nexus 5, but it is what it is. So this by default, this is going to use all the settings you have set up over for that site. So you go into your settings, and you go into your wireless networks, and here's the SSIDs that you have programmed out to broadcast. And we can edit that. We can say enable this wireless network. So for instance, the pay Wi-Fi is not enabled. That's an ongoing project I haven't completed yet, but suffice it to say I have attempted testing it before. Now, I don't deal with the guest policies, not on my internal stuff for home. WPA mode, your encryption, the user group. This can be important. If you have children, which I do, but yours are older, teenagers for instance, you might want to set up a user group that gives each one only like 8 megabits or something, so that they can't swamp whatever your service is. So you always have a nice little delivery area where you're going to be getting some decent bandwidth. You can schedule the access point to basically stop broadcasting, or stop allowing clients to connect. I think it still broadcasts, but doesn't allow them in. As you can see, I last had this set for 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You also have the rate and beacon controls. I haven't really messed with these. If you know what you're doing, this could help you quite a bit. If you're like me and you don't really want to know, then it's probably better to leave those alone. Just leave those as the default. Now, the other thing is your networks matter on this. So, for instance, in this case, it's set up like corporate, but it's not. It's only home. No big deal. I have nothing to really worry about, and I don't care. Now, if you're troubleshooting Wi-Fi, and this is an existing deployment, you can go into events, and you'll start seeing statuses of what happened when. So, for instance, you can see that at 9:27, I deleted this a second time. I deleted it at 9:11 when I realized that I was going to make this video, and then at 9:27 was when I tried playing it and realized, oh crap, my mic wasn't turned on. Yes, it happens to all of us sooner or later. So here we are. Here's what we have. Last hour, you can do the last 8 hours, you can do the last 30 days. If you want to see something that's been extremely pragmatic, and you can literally go through here and figure out what's connected when. Like my Chromecast comes on anytime my TV comes on, so I'm going to know that happens. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, it is what it is, and it works pretty good, and I love it. And this is the ACLite, the Unifi AP, the regular BG, possibly N. It's pretty good. I have one. It was covering 2 stories at a customer location without issue, and it was set in the basement on top of a I don't want to call it a rafter, but it's a 2x6 or 2x8, and no issues whatsoever. So basically shooting through what would have otherwise been a crawl space. And, she was able to get it from the attic, and we were able to get the vast majority of the property. Now, they do make a series of long-range ones. I mean, you could go that route. I don't know. I mean, in business, maybe it's worth it, but for a home, not really. So that's pretty much the gist of this. And the other thing is RF environment. If you run a scan on this, it'll tell you what channels have what kind of utilization. So in this case, I already know I want to be on channel 6, so I'm already on channel 6. But you can do that, and it'll tell you the 5 gigahertz channels and your 2 gigahertz. Now, your radio stats are right here, and these can be important. So you'll notice 2.2% dropped. I don't care. That's nothing. Up here, we have the 22.1% retry. That's why that got changed to channel 6, because as you change channel, this doesn't change initially. If it already identifies that device. I'm not sure if it's something on my browser or not, but it's just one of those things I noticed. And you got your overview, memory utilization on the device itself, and the load averages, which, as you can tell, it's not really all that busy right now because it's 9:30 at night and kids are in bed, and I'm not. It's the best time to make the videos. So that's all that. Here's our clients page right here, so we can see, if you have a physical switch there, it'll tell you that. If you name your Wi-Fi my Wi-Fi, you'll literally see which AP it went to, the home line yards. And you can go into your insights, and you can see, for instance, if you want a history of all devices that have ever connected, Gigabyte, Samsung, TiVo. Somewhere in here we should see Nintendo. Yeah, guess not. But, yeah. Either way, it is what it is. And here's neighboring access points, which, as you can tell, there's a crap load in my little area. This little portion right here, if you sort by signal, this can give you a very good picture as to what's going on in your area, because you can see channel 6 isn't ideal, but as you can tell, this is somebody's truck. So these trucks are going out with channel 6 by default, and they can't change. It is what it is. See, these are at 11, that one's on 1. It looks like a lot of them are on 6, but ultimately on BG and on the 2.4 gigahertz, I'm screwed. There's nothing I can really do. But it is what it is. So, hope this gave everybody a great overview. If you got questions, shoot me a message, leave me a question, write a blurb. If you like the video, subscribers, thumb up, whatever you want to do. Whatever you feel it's worthwhile. And I'll continue making these every so often. It's kind of a hobby of mine. I'm not doing it to make money. Yes, there's some advertisements, but I don't even make $1 a month. So, And it's not the busiest channel, let's face it. And it's all good. So hopefully this helps somebody who was otherwise deciding on the product as to whether or not they wanted it. These APs don't require a controller, I believe, anymore. I think you can set them up with a Android and or iPhone to be set up on their own without a controller, but I have a cloud-based controller that I configured. I also have the cloud key, as you can probably tell from my other video. And, you know, if you're careful about what you allow in, I don't think it's any more or less risky than anything else. You know, you just got to know what you're dealing with and what the threat is, and make it difficult for the other guy, because he's not going to spend 2 or 3 years trying to attack it. And if you rotate your certificates and everything else, by the time he figures it out, you're long gone. So, good times. Once again, everybody subscribe, thumbs up, do what you feel mean. You know, share it if you want to share it. It's all good. And have a great weekend by the time I probably get this video uploaded. And I hope everybody had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year's. And drive safe for those of you that are also on two wheels. Later.